And welcome to Creepy Corner.
Howdy, folks.
Hey, this is your ghost. Maybe I am a ghost.
Ooh, scary.
So far, no ghosts in any of these stories that we've talked about. Just, well, maybe the first one was a ghost. I don't know.
Could have been.
Sugar Daddy,
It
a
was-
ghost that sends text messages.
Yeah, Sugar Daddy Ghost.
Yeah, Sugar Daddy ghosts. I could use a
Well,
Sugar Daddy ghost. More like a Sugar Mama.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's dead, but she pays the bills, so. Oh, and might actually get to use some of my spoopy footage from some games this time, so you guys can actually see. You don't just have to listen to my annoying voice or Gonzo's pretty decent voice. So hey, aren't you
I
all
have the
excited?
voice of Velveteen Sandpaper. It doesn't sound bad, but it does get grating after a while.
Velveteen Sandpaper. Oh, that's a new one.
Aye. So, today's story is something walks whistling past my house every night at 3:03.
By
What do
Grand
you take?
Theft Auto.
Yeah. Grand Theft Motto, is that what you said?
Yeah, that's the name of the grand _theft_motto on r/no sleep.
Yeah. We're going through all of the best no sleep stories to ever be put up on the site. And best in quotes. We're going through all the most popular ones.
Yeah, because really, that number one was
Not a
little
good story.
disappointing.
Not
Yeah,
a good one to start.
Yeah, it was not the strongest. I am disappointed in every.
I'm disappointed in everyone involved.
To quote my mother, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Are you ready to start?
Yes.
All right.
Let us begin.
I will begin. Every night, no matter the weather, something walks down our street whistling softly. You can only hear it if you're in the living room or the kitchen when they walk by, and it always starts at exactly 3:03. The sound starts faint somewhere near the beginning of the lane near the Carson place. We're towards the middle of the street, so the whistling moves past us before fading away in the direction of the cul-de-sac. When I was younger, my sister and I would sneak into the kitchen some nights to listen. Mom and Dad didn't like that, and we'd catch hell if they found us out there by
But
But oh my god, I can't read. I'm tired. Out there. But they were never too hard on us, since we always stuck to the one big rule. Don't try to look at whatever was whistling. My neighborhood is a funny place. I've lived here since I was 6, and I love it. The houses are small but well kept. Good-sized yards. Plenty of places to roam. There are a lot of other kids here my age. I turned 13 back in October. So this is told from the point of view of a kid.
yeah, 13 years old.
Seems pretty well spoken for a 13-year-old.
Yeah, that's they're more put together than I was at 13. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Maybe it's due to the whistler.
We grew up together and would always put Foursquare in the cul-de-sac or roam around, play Foursquare in the cul-de-sac or roam around from back porch to back porch in the summer. This was a good place to grow up. I'm old enough to see it. And there's only the two strange things here. The night whistling and the good luck. The whistling never bothered me much. Like I said, I couldn't even hear it from my bedroom, but Mom and Dad don't like talking about it, so I've stopped asking questions. My dad is a strong guy, tall and calm. He has an accent since he moved to the U.S. as a kid. His family, my grandparents, they're from the islands. That's what they call it. My dad, the only time he isn't so calm as if the whistler comes up. He talks a little quicker then. Eyes move faster, and he tells us not to think about it so much, and to always remember the one rule, the big rule. Don't try to look outside when the whistler goes past. Not that we could look even if we wanted. See, there are shutters on the inside of every window, thick pieces of heavy canvas that pull down from the top latch to the bottom of the window frame. Each latch even has a small lock, about the size of what you'd find on a diary. My dad locks those shutters every night before we all go to bed and keeps the key in his room. My mom, I don't know what she thinks about the whistling. I've seen her out in the living room before at 3:03 when the sound starts. So is this like 3:03 in the afternoon?
I'm assuming like 3:03 a.m., but like, who the fuck is awake at 3:03 a.m.?
Hardly anyone.
But like, if it's 3:03 in the afternoon, like, what are you gonna do when the poor fucking mailman has to come by? Like, they can't just avoid that.
Are there just like random people disappearing mid-afternoon?
Well, it says
I used to get home from school at 3:03.
Well, it says something walks by every night at 3:03, so it has to be 3:03 a.m. But like, still, like, how the fuck are you awake on a fucking school night? I'm gonna kick your ass, boy, if you don't get back to bed.
Bitch, if you don't go back to sleep, I'm gonna put you to sleep, boy. Oh my. Let's take that from the top. I've seen her out in the living room before at 3:03 when the sound starts. I could see her if I cracked my door open just an inch to peek. She's not out there often, at least I haven't caught her much, but once or twice a month I think she sits out there on our big red couch just listening. The Whistler has the same tune every night. It's cheerful. Da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. Remember how I said there are two odd things about where I live? Well, besides our night whistler, everyone in my neighborhood is really lucky. It's hard to explain, and Dad doesn't like us talking about this part much either, but good things just seem to happen to the people around here a lot. Usually it's small things, winning a radio contest, or getting an unexpected promotion at work, or finding some arrowhead buried in the yard, you know, the authentic kind. The weather is pretty good, and there's no crime, and everybody's gardens bloom extra bright in the fall. A quote.
A million little blessings.
I've heard my mom say about living here. But the main reason we stay here, why we moved here in the first place, is my sister Nola. She was born very sick, something with her lungs. We couldn't even bring her home when she was born, only visit her in the hospital. She was so small, I remember. Small, even compared to the other babies. A machine had to breathe for her. We moved into our house here to be closer to the hospital. As soon as we moved her here, Nola started getting better. The doctors couldn't figure it out. They chalked it up to whatever they were doing, but we all could tell they were confused. But my parents knew. Even I knew. Nola getting better was just another of the million little blessings we got for living in our neighborhood. So that's why we stayed, even after we found out that, for every small miracle that happens here every day, now and then, some bad things happen. But they only happen if you look for the Whistler. See, our neighborhood has a welcoming committee. They show up with macaroni casserole and a gift basket and a manila folder whenever someone new moves in. They're very friendly, for people show up when we moved in 7 years ago. The committee made small talk, gave me a Snickers bar, and took turns holding Nola. It was her first week out of the hospital, so they were extra careful. Then the committee asked to speak to my parents in private, so I was sent to my room, where I still managed to hear nearly every word. The welcoming committee told my parents about how nice the neighborhood was. Really, exceptionally, hard to explain kind of nice. And then they told my parents about the even harder to explain whistling that happened every morning at 3:03 and ended at the tick of 3:05. The group, our neighbors, warned my parents that the whistling was quiet, would never harm or hurt us, as long as we didn't look for what was making the sound. This part they stressed, and I pushed my ear into the door, straining to hear them. People who went looking for the whistler had their luck change, sometimes tragically. A black cloud would hang over anyone that looked. Anything that could go wrong would. The manila envelope the committee brought over contained newspaper clippings. Stories about car crashes and ruined lives, public deaths and freak accidents.
Not everyone dies,
I heard the head of the committee tell my dad.
but the life goes out of them. Even if they live, there's no light in them ever again. No presence.
My mom, I could tell she wasn't taking it seriously. She kept asking if this was some prank they play on new neighbors. At one point, my mom got angry and accused the committee of trying to scare us out of our new home. Asked them if they were racist on account of my dad being from the islands. My dad calmed her down, told her he could tell our new neighbors were sincere, and they were just trying to help us. He explained that he grew up hearing these kinds of stories from his mom, and that he knew there were strange things that walked among us. Some of those strange things were good, and some were bad, but most were just different. After the committee left, my dad went out to the hardware store, brought the canvas blinds, the latches, and the locks, and installed them on every window in the house after dinner. That first night in our new house, I crept out of the room at 3 a.m., only to find my dad awake, sitting on the living room couch, holding my baby sister. My dad held up his finger in a shh motion, but patted the couch next to him. I sat, and we waited. At exactly 3:03, we heard the whistling. Da da da, da 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 dum, da da. Oh, I'm just realizing that is not a whistle. Like,
Nope.
it came and it went, just like our neighbors said. The whistling returns each night, and we never look, and we enjoy our millionth little blessing, or our million little blessings every day. Nola breathes on her own, and she's grown into a strong, clever girl. My dad even joined the welcoming committee. We don't get new neighbors often. Why would anyone want to leave? But when a new family moves in, my dad and the committee bring them macaroni casserole, a gift basket, and the manila folder. I can always tell by the look on my dad's face when he comes back if the family took the committee seriously, or if we'd be getting new neighbors again very soon. Not long ago, a family moved in directly next to us. The previous owner, Miss Maddie, passed away at age 105. She'd lived a good, long life. Our new neighbors seemed like they'd fit in just fine. They believed the welcoming committee, took my dad's advice about the locking the shutters, since they had a young child of their own. Whatever newspaper clippings were in that manila envelope, whatever evidence, my dad never let us see. But I imagine it must have been awfully convincing, since our neighbors got along with no issues for the first month.
Well, that's foreboding.
One
The
night,
first month.
yeah, seriously, this whole story is very foreboding. I really dig this so far.
Yeah, this is pretty good. It reminds me of some like Faye bullshit, honestly. Of
Yeah,
just like,
totally.
ooh, whimsical music, better not look, or we'll, explode your balls or something.
Put him in the penis explosion machine.
Yes. Put him in the femur breaker. Jeez.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, all right. One night, when our new neighbors had to leave town, they sent their son, Holden, to stay with us. He was
Absolutely not.
12, a year under me in school. I didn't know him well before that night, but as soon as his parents dropped him off after dinner, I could tell it was going to be a bad time.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't be like, yeah. If I have a kid who there's this weird mystic thing out there which you're not allowed to look at, it'd be like, nah, they're going after me. I'm not trusting that. Starting the quote though. Do you know who is always out there whistling every night?
Holden asked the moment the adults left the room. The three of us were sitting in the den, some Disney movie playing idly on the television.
God, I
My
hope it's
sister
Mulan.
and I exchanged a glance. Moana? What?
No, I said I hope it's Mulan. That's my favorite Disney movie ever.
I watched it for the first time this year.
No shit. Good
Yeah, a
stuff.
friend of mine made me watch it with them.
Yeah, good stuff.
It was good. I liked it. It was pretty late whenever we watched it, so I think I fell asleep before the end.
Yeah, good stuff though. Where were
My sister
my
and
sister?
I exchanged a glance.
We don't talk about that.
I said,
I think it's that weirdo that lives in the big yellow house on the.
"Oh, you cut out there at the end."
Oh, I said. I'm sorry. I think it's that weirdo who lives in the big yellow house on the corner.
Holden said.
Mr. Tolles?
My sister asked.
No way. He's really nice.
Holden shrugged.
Must be a psycho killer then.
Nola tensed.
We don't talk about it.
I repeated.
Let's go in my room and play Nintendo.
It's like aggressively like just go into my fucking room and play Nintendo, you ass.
We're gonna play Nintendo, Ma.
We're not even gonna play one of the good games. We're gonna play fucking what's a bad Nintendo game? We're gonna play Battle Kid,
Let's play Battletoads 2.
Battletoads, and I'm gonna exclusively that one level that no one can beat.
Yes. This is the sewer level.
Oh yeah. We spent the next few hours playing games, eating popcorn, and then watching movies. A typical sleepover, but I could see Holden was getting antsy. After my parents had wished us a good night, locked the blinds, and gone to bed, Holden stood up from his beanbag and walked over to where Nola and I were sitting on my bed.
Have you ever tried looking at it? I'm just picturing the kid from Polar Express.
It's the one with the glasses. Have you
Yeah.
ever tried looking at it?
Do you know what kind of train this is? The worst part about that is he's not even right about he's wrong about what kind of train it is.
Only a true autist would know.
Oh, jeez.
And the next line, it's nearly time.
Yes, he asked. It's nearly time.
Like most sleepovers, we'd conveniently ignored any suggestion of a bedtime. I was shocked to see he was right. It was almost 3 a.m. I sighed.
We don't. See, I can't. I can't even try to look because my dad locks the blinds every night and hides the key.
He continued, ignoring me.
So does our dad.
Said Nola.
No.
Replied Holden.
No, he doesn't. You saw him do it.
I said, a little sharper than I meant to sound. Holden grinned.
Your dad locks the blinds, yeah, but he doesn't hide the key. He keeps it right on his normal keychain. So,
I asked, worried I already knew what he would say next, because I had noticed that my dad didn't bother hiding the key anymore after all these years, because he knew we took it seriously.
Again, this is why I wouldn't trust a fucking kid. I don't care if they're 12. I wouldn't if I was new to the area and there's some weird mystical bullshit, I'd be like, nah, you're coming with me. I don't care where we're going. I'm not leaving you alone with that possibility.
Right. I would send him to stay with, like, family who doesn't live in the neighborhood or something.
Yeah.
So there's not even a possibility that he could fuck up and do something stupid.
Yeah, or at the very least, like, if he's over there, just be like, look, he doesn't take this seriously. Whatever he does, like, do everything in your power to make sure he cannot go outside.
Genuinely.
I would literally be like, yeah, if you have to stay up with him, do it, because I don't trust him.
At the end of the day, my family being safe and sound would be more important to me than being able to see the sunrise first thing in the morning.
Absolutely. Like, I would be like, nope. Which is a shame, because I have a feeling he's in danger the whole family in just a minute.
Yeah, he's about to do something mega stupid.
Really fucking dumb. Where we're... No, he doesn't.
So, after you're dead...
Oh shit, I can't see it. So after your dad locked up, but before your parents went to bed, I went to the bathroom. And on my way, I may have peeked into their room. What a fucking creep.
Yeah. It gets worse.
And I may have seen your dad's keychain on the nightstand. And maybe I went and borrowed the key to blinds. I assume they meant to put a "the" there, but
yeah. But we read it as it's written, because that's funny.
Bro literally snuck into the room of a sleeping man and wife and fucking stole their keys. Oh, what a little shit. He's about to kill them all.
Yeah. Nola and I stared, and his grin only grew wider.
You're lying,
I said. Holden shrugged.
You can check if you want. Just open your parents' door and look. You'll see his keychain right there on the nightstand. Oh, he's baiting them. He's baiting him.
Ugh.
Oh, what a devious little shit.
I hate this kid. This is a Chris right here.
Yep, this is Chris.
Yeah.
I know they said his name is Holden. His name is Chris Holden, as far as I'm concerned.
Fuck Holden. All my homies hate Holden.
Yeah. Something, don't trust anyone named Holden. Reading Blood Meridian.
Holden my dick!
Have you read Blood Meridian?
No, but I know the story. Holden is not a good guy.
Yeah, I'm just imagining Holden my dick before he fucking murders the protagonist. Spoilers, by the way.
Oh, well, if people haven't seen the Wendigoon video by now, then they're probably out of touch.
Probably. Holden my dick does something unspeakable to the protagonist.
Oh, I don't even want to think about this. Oh, no.
I will never get that image out of my head of that creepy bald motherfucker saying, "Hold my dick," before proceeding to brutally murder.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, no. I totally lost place where we were.
Stay here.
I told
them. Don't move a muscle. You know they're not. You know someone's gonna.
I gotta recompose myself. Hold on.
When saying okay, stay here. I told both of them, don't move a muscle. You know Holden's about to break dance if you tell him not to move.
Right.
The muscle.
I hurried over to my parents' room, but hesitated at the door. If Holden wasn't... Oh, Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
You bastard.
Such a dumb fucking joke.
Oh, God.
Okay, I'm good. If Holden
wasn't lying, my dad would be angry. Beyond angry. I was scared thinking about it, but more scared of an open window with the Whistler right outside. I opened the door, barely an inch, and looked in, but it was too dark to see. Taking a deep breath, I walked into the room. 2 steps into the dark, I froze. The whistling started, and I could hear it clearly, from my parents' room. I never realized, but they must have heard the sound every night since we moved into the house. They never told us. I don't think I could have slept through it. I stood there, listening to the whistling. I stood there, listening to the whistling come closer, unsure whether I should turn on a light or call out for my dad. Soft sounds from the living room brought me back to reality.
Nola!
I yelled, running out of my parents' room. Holden and Nola were standing near the front door, next to a window. Holden wasn't lying. I could see him fumble with the lock on one of the blinds. I heard a click. He did have the key.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Holden let out a quick laugh. Nola stood next to him, hunched up, afraid but maybe curious. The whistling was right outside our house now. I think I made a sound, called out. I can't remember. Time felt frozen, clock hands nailed to the face, but I found myself moving. I'm not fast. I've never been athletic. Somehow, though, I covered the space between myself and Nola in a moment. My eyes were locked on her, but I heard Holden pull the blind all the way down so it could release. I heard the snap of it start to raise. I heard the whistling just on the other side of the window. But I had my arms around Nola, and I turned us so she was facing away from the window. At the same time, I jammed my eyes shut. The blinds whipped open. The whistling stopped. I felt Nola shaking in my arms.
Don't look, okay?
I told her.
Don't turn around.
We were positioned so that she was facing back towards the hallway, and I was facing the window. My eyes were still closed. I felt her nod into my shoulder. I reached out with the arm, not holding Nola, and tried to touch Holden. My hand brushed against his arm. He was shaking worse than Nola.
Holden?
I asked. Silence. I reached past him and gingerly felt for the window. Eyes still eyes. Eyes still sealed shut. It's just because there's so much tension in the story.
Yeah.
The glass was cold against my fingertips, colder than it should have been for the time of year. I moved my hand up the window, searched for the string to the blind. The glass began to get warmer the further I reached, and there was a gentle hum feeding back into my fingertips. I tried not to think about what might be on the other side of the window. Finally, I touched the string and yanked the blinds shut. I opened my eyes in the dim light leaking out from the kitchen. I could make out Holden, pale and small, staring at the now closed window.
Holden?
I asked again. He turned toward me, and he screamed. Everything became a flurry of motion. Lights sparked to life in the hall, then the living room. My parents' footsteps thudded across the hardwood floor. I didn't turn to look back at them. My eyes were glued to Holden. He was pale, had bit his lip so hard there was a thin red line of blood running down his chin, and he'd wet himself.
What happened?
My dad asked from behind me. I managed to swivel away from Holden and look back.
He looked.
I'd never seen my dad scared before, but I saw it that night. In that moment, an old, ugly terror stitched on his face, a parent's fear.
Just Holden?
He mouthed to me. I nodded yes. My dad let out a breath. He looked so relieved I nearly expected him to cheer. But then
Chris.
He turned to Holden, and my dad's face changed. I wondered if he felt bad for feeling good that Holden was the only one that looked. There was a knock at the door. We all froze. Holden whimpered.
Don't answer it.
My mom said. She stood at the threshold of the hall. I'd always thought she was a skeptic and just humored my dad about the windows and the Whistler, but that night we were all believers. I noticed that both of my parents held baseball bats. I'm sorry, I didn't read that well. I noticed that both of my parents held baseball bats they must have taken from their bedroom. The knock came again, a little louder this time.
Please don't open the door.
Holden whispered. My dad walked over to him, hugging him close.
We won't.
My dad promised, still holding his bat.
Nothing is coming in here tonight.
Thud, thud, thud. This time the knocking was loud enough to rattle the door. Holden screamed again, and Nola clutched her arms around my neck. My mom came over and knelt down next to us, wrapping my sister and me close. Thud, thud, thud.
Call the police.
My mom whispered to my dad. The knocking instantly stopped. My dad looked over his shoulder at us.
Do you think...
He was cut off by frantic knocking that trailed off to a polite tap, tap, tap.
Police.
Something said from the other side of the door. The voice from the outside sounded exactly like my mom, like a parrot repeating the words back to her. Ugh.
Police. Call. The police. Police.
My mom pulled us closer.
Police. 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 Please stop.
I heard her whisper.
I don't think calling them will help.
My dad said.
How will we know when they're the ones at the door?
The knocking came back harder than before. The door shook, then it stopped. After a long moment, I heard the knocking again, but it was coming from our back door. Oh, fuck that.
Oh, whatever it is, it's big.
So it's just because in my house, our back door has glass, like a glass window in it.
I was thinking the same thing.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Which is, that's so much worse.
It's so much worse. We all turned together towards the back door, but the knocking immediately returned to the front door. Front to back, back to front, loud, then quiet, then loud again. Suddenly, the sound was coming from both doors at once. Big, heavy blows like a sledgehammer. Then something started rapping against all the windows in the house. Then the walls. It was like we were living inside a drum with a dozen people trying to play at once. Or we were a turtle, and something was attempting to claw us out of our shell.
Stop!
Holden yelled. The knocking died.
I won't tell.
Holden said, staring at the door.
I promise. I won't tell anyone what I saw. Just please go away.
We waited. We waited for nearly a minute. Then we heard it. A soft tap, tap, tap. Coming from the window. Holden had looked through earlier. Holden started to cry, sobbing like a prisoner watching gallows being built outside their cell. Damn, that's a good description. My dad held him, brushed his hair, but never lied to him, never told him things would be okay. The tapping at the window went on for the rest of the night. We huddled together in the living room for I don't know how long. Eventually, my mom tried to take us kids into my room, while my dad stayed to watch the door. But the second we moved into my bedroom, the knocking came back. So loud, it was impossible to ignore. I know it says possible to ignore. I was afraid the door couldn't take it. We went back to the living room, and the knocking stopped. Only the tap, tap, tap on the window remained. None of us slept that night. The tapping stopped around 7 a.m. That's about the time the sun comes up here. We waited another 2 hours before my dad opened the blinds from one window. He made us all go back to my parents' bedroom first. I heard him open the door, then come back in.
Okay.
He told us.
It's done.
Holden's parents came back around lunchtime. My mom and dad walked Holden over to his house, and they all went inside for quite a while. Nola and I watched from the window. She stuck to me the whole day, right at my side, sometimes holding my hand. When my parents came back, they looked grim, but wouldn't tell us what they said to Holden's family. It was a Sunday, so we all spent the day together, ordering pizza and watched movies. That night, everyone slept in my room. Nola and my mom in the bed with me, my dad in a chair he'd pulled over. There was no knocking that night, or any night since. We didn't see much of Holden or his parents for the rest of that week, but by Thursday there was a moving truck in their driveway. Nola and I watched them packing up the whole afternoon after school. What sticks with me most is how tired Holden and his parents looked. All three had the same what is that word? Same pallor? What does that mean?
Rest of the
This is the 13-year-old, remember? And he's saying words I've never heard. All three had the same pallor. Grim mouths, and I think that might be like pale.
It means skin paleness, which
okay.
Again, doesn't really
doesn't track to something a 13-year-old would write.
Yeah. Otherwise, not bad. But,
right. Grim mouths and lightless eyes. Even from across the street, I could tell something was very wrong. Holden and his family were gone before sunset. I remember what the original welcoming committee said to my parents when we moved in. Not everyone who looks at the Whistler dies, but even those that live have the light go out of them, and the rest of their lives are full of misfortune. A million little tragedies. I think Holden's parents must have looked, either to comfort him if they didn't believe, or share the burden if they did. I watched Nola some days, happy and young and alive, and I wonder if I'd been slower, if she'd looked out the window that night, would I have looked too? To comfort her? To share that burden? I'm glad I don't have to find out. We still live in that house, in that neighborhood. We'll still hear our Whistler walking past every night. The blessings, the luck, the good things here are too good to leave, but we're careful. We don't have friends over to spend the night anymore, and my dad hides the key to the blinds very, very well. Not that I've gone looking. Some things you just don't need to look for. And that's the story.
That was pretty good.
That was truly very, very good. I'm sorry you didn't have a lot of lines there. And the only lines you had were that asshole Holden.
Yeah, basically. Oh, man. Yeah, that was a good one. I liked that one.
Things I like about this story, the whole bit about the people who live in this area having really good fortune.
Mm.
If the whole sequence where they're having to basically defend the house from this thing knocking on every window and door.
Which it's so big that it can simultaneously reach, so it's either big or it's not just one thing.
That, or Holden, it's just something inconceivable, you know?
Which, so this reminds me of it reminds me of something I've heard about from Hawaii, mm-hmm. where apparently they have these things called like ghost marches. And the story is that at night there will be like basically a parade of ghost warriors. And the only way that you really survive it is if you basically lie down face first so you don't look at them.
Oh, and it does
they'll
describe
kill
the
you.
father as being from the islands. It's kept kind
Yeah.
of vague in the story.
Yeah,
But,
so I mean, there's a lot of island.
yeah, there's a lot.
But
A couple million, I'm pretty sure.
but like, I don't know, like it's not exactly because it's like from what I've heard of like ghost marches, is that like they sing like chants and there's drum whatnot, but like I don't know, I can see a little bit of commonality with the uh yeah, I can see kind of a commonality with the idea of, yeah, you don't look at it, you just pretend it's not there and hope it goes away, and you're fucked if you do look at it. And with something basically marching down the street for 2 minutes every night, the same time, I don't know. It's just a cool little thing I thought about.
I think one of the things I really like about it is that if you just follow the rules, there is nothing but benefits.
Yeah,
But there's that
It
little
is-
bit of curiosity, this tinge of
Yeah.
fear of what might happen.
yeah,
That you're
it's
reminded of every single evening.
yeah, it's pretty benign, all things considered. But like, if you
breaking the
do
rules.
one thing wrong, if
Yeah.
you break one rule, because that's it, it's just one rule. Don't look at it.
Don't look at it whenever it comes by. Man. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this story?
I'd say outside of just a few things, like, dude, you're talking like a 13-year-old. I'd say generally probably around a 7, 7, 8, somewhere around there.
I want to say like 7.5. I thought this was
Yeah.
slightly better than our last story.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that one. That was pretty. I just saw a comment. Does the Whistler to daylight savings? That is a
Oh
good
yeah, we
question.
should read. We should read. That's a really funny question. Yeah, let's go ahead and read a couple of the comments for the story. That'd be a fun. This is a fun segment. The first comment is, "I have a video doorbell. I've already lost this fight. Great read." Open the door at 3:04 and be like, "Hey, we are trying to get some sleep in here. Keep it down, damn it." Put some mini blinds with a lock over your doorbell.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
Oh my god. I see the daylight savings one. That's really funny. Maybe people who speak about what they saw are the ones who die?
Probably.
Question mark?
What-
Who knows?
that's kind of the weird thing is why whistle if you don't want to attract attention?
Well, that's its whole game, I'm sure.
Unless maybe it's like a bird or something where it's like it's whistling while sounding cheerful to us. Morning.
Right, it could be the whole, like, the Kill Bill, something like
Yeah.
that. It's just,
Yeah.
I think it's just about, it's like one of those Fae legends from back in the day, where, like,
Yeah.
you just have to follow the rule, or else the Fae get to do whatever they want to you.
Yeah.
So,
Just
adhering to
not-
the rule, no matter how nonsensical or silly it might seem, is the key to survival.
Yeah, it's just literally don't do anything. Just don't break that rule.
Yeah. Simple as that. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us on the third episode of The Creepy Corner. I have been your host, Gonzo.
And I have been Velvar, Field, or Marshall, whatever
Yes.
you want to call me. That dude will do.
And the next story that we are planning to read is called She Sold Happiness in Glass Jars.
Damn, I can use that.
I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. But it
I
looks
mean-
like it's a longer one. So we'll
I mean,
look
I have
forward to that.
clinical depression, so I'll buy a jar of happiness. I could use that. Well, we'll see y'all later.
Have a great day, and join us next time on The Creepy Corner.
Ooh.
Ooh.